Hello, this is Brian from Invoice Away, and in today's video, I'll be taking you through workflows. So workflows is the latest feature which allows you to automate your scheduling needs. You pick up both invoices and all credit notes. Now let's get started with our first workflow. So the main things to understand about workflows is there are two mandatory conditions that need to be filled out for any workflow that you create. As you can see here, we will search for invoices and all credit notes where it has not been marked as sent. So what that means is if we flip over to 0, it means anything with a status that does not have sent will be picked up in the automation. The reason for that is it reduces the chance of creating a forever loop, which means, invoices just continuously sending again and again because the criteria keeps being satisfied. In the cases of invoices that are not marked as sent, that reduces that probability of that happening. Now the second condition we have is stage. Now what that is draft pending approval, unpaid, paid, which as you know in 0 to be as draft, awaiting approval, awaiting payment, and paid. Now let's go ahead and select our first mandatory condition, which is, let's say in this case, unpaid, which is the same as awaiting payment. Now you have the choice of removing any additional conditions or adding an additional condition. At this moment of time, we only allow one additional condition, but we will allow 2 to 3 more additional conditions in a later version of workflows. So let's get started with just, the 2 mandatory conditions. Now, I would always recommend proving your invoices just to make sure that you're picking up the right things. And if I go back to 0, I can see all these invoices are being ignored and it's only picking first 2, which is correct. Now you don't necessarily need to use this button, or if you're going to be planning for months down the line, obviously you're not going to be able to preview invoices that you haven't yet created, but I would always recommend just trying this feature out just to know what kind of invoices are being picked up. Now, yeah, let's go ahead with that. As you can see, I'll just flip through additional conditions. There's a range of conditions you can add. One of my favorites being contact group, equals JSON. I don't know why that's there, but that can be a condition if you want. And preview, and there is an invoice. So this just tells me that test company 2 belongs to a contact group called JSON. So let's go ahead and schedule that. So in this screen, you're going to be setting when you want your invoices to be sent out. And you have the option of choosing a daily workflow, a weekly workflow, or monthly workflow. A daily is pretty straightforward. You just choose the time. Let's say 8 a.m. and you have to choose a template. And you are familiar with these options, which are adding a PDF when you send your invoices out and sending yourself a copy when that email gets sent out. Now, what I wanted to take you through today is weekly. So how weekly works is you choose a day of the week, let's say Monday, and 1 o'clock, 1 a.m., let's say 1 p.m. So that's scheduled for the closest Monday upcoming. And what will happen is on October 4th, 1 p.m., once any invoices are sent out on that date, the next workflow will happen on October 11th, 2021 at 1 p.m. So that's how that works. Now, pre-run actions I won't be talking about in this video. I'll be talking about it in another tutorial video, so you can check that out when you want to know more about how this function works. Confirmation screen is just you checking what conditions you've entered and giving your workflow a name. So let's say this is my weekly invoice send out workflow. And there you go. You've created your first workflow. Now, a couple of things to know or to understand is While this may be when your invoices are sent out, we start picking up or start refreshing, or should I say syncing with Xero 3 hours prior to this period. So 3 hours before this would be what is it, 10 a.m.? Yeah, so at 10 a.m. we'll do a refresh or a sync with Xero to pick up any invoices that have come in or been updated. And then we'll start, scheduling the invoices in the background so that at 1 p.m. sharp, we can send out those invoices. That's just the only thing to be aware of, that the syncing of Xero happens 3 hours prior to your workflow. And there you have it. In terms of where you'll be able to see your invoices when they get sent out, they'll be differentiated with the words automated, and you'll be able to see what invoices were sent out. And there you have it. That's workflows in a nutshell.